Welcome, welcome. It's July and it's a holiday weekend. Although I don't have any plans for the weekend, so it kind of just feels like every other day right now. But we'll own it and go with it. So again, still no live stream. So I'm going live to Facebook, into YouTube. I'll be posting this up onto LinkedIn as a recording later, and hopefully the more that LinkedIn peeps, approvers, reviewers see that I'm consistently doing these each month, the more that maybe someday I'll get my app approved. Although I think I have to resubmit it again. It doesn't tell you when it's been rejected. It just disappears. So you have to keep resubmitting. It's fun. It's fun. So today's topic is one that I actually get quite a bit from a lot of people, and I have my own kind of history and experience or big epiphany moment that I like sharing and being vulnerable and being open about. So as a leader, you sometimes can struggle a lot with feeling like you have to know everything, that everybody's coming to you. You don't have enough time. There's questions everywhere. You almost feel like you're just putting fire out after fire, reacting to things. And I was complaining. Let's use the right term. At an Agile conference, this would have probably been 2010-ish timeframe, to an Agilist, a woman that I had learned a great ton from, Pollyanna Pixton. And she said, well, Tricia, stop answering questions. And I'm like, what? I can't stop answering questions. She said, don't answer a single question. Here's your challenge. And if you can go a day, I'll buy the next round of happy hour. If not, you buy it. I was like, I can do that. I don't think I made 3 questions before I broke and needed to answer a question. And what that made me realize is I wasn't really giving space for others as a leader, that I was going to the quick because I was so reactive, because so many things were going on. I had good intent, but I was super reactive to just answering the quick question. I did know the answer. I could help the person out, but I realized I couldn't even go 3 questions before I broke. Like that it was a problem for me. So I started exploring coaching and professional coaching. And I like to summarize it a little bit as professional coaching is a skill that helps you to unlock answers from within other people. And so this became a very powerful addition to my skill as a leader, but I had to learn some tricks with it. And so I'm going to give you some top tips that I had to really work hard at in order to get to a place where I could really effectively use coaching as a skill or approach within my leadership daily occurrences. So the first one is just basically acknowledging what I had acknowledged in my answer is have you formed the habit that you are the quick answer? And so in a lot of cases, one of my favorite responses at the beginning was when someone did come to me with a question was, do you really need me to answer that? Right? Like, is this something that you're coming to me for the quick answer? Or is it something that you really, really do need me to answer? And just kind of giving that pause, being me, I give a little smirk with it, right? But giving that little bit of pause, that little bit of smirk of like, do you really need me to answer this question? Or do you know the answer to this question? And sometimes just even giving this not really explicit, but implicit permission that they can solve, that they can get those answers themselves, that they don't necessarily have to come to you for them. 2, and this is hard for me, go silent. Just give space. Count to 5 in your head. That feels like forever. It's super uncomfortable. I don't even like it right now. But what will happen if you go silent? If you give more space in those interactions, they will speak. I kind of jokingly say, you just have to be slightly less uncomfortable than they are. Because chances are at like that second 3, second 4, they'll contribute something more. to the conversation. And it might be that answer. It might be that next step. It might be the thing that you were about to tell them, but you got to give them space to do it. And this is hard. Sometimes I have to write in order to avoid it flying out of my mouth. But whatever it is, give them the space. Count to 5 in your head. My colleague who does Leading Amazing Teams with me, Jake Calabrese, says, and if 5 doesn't seem long enough or easy, count to 10. Give more space, right? Go harder at it. 3, ask random questions. CRR Global calls it blank access questions, very open-ended questions, whatever you want to call it. Ask questions that generate ideas or possibilities or out-of-the-box thinking. If you ask yes/no questions, it seems like you have the answer in mind and you are manipulating the person to your answer. And you don't want that. That is not coaching, okay? And so you really have to ask questions of what's possible. What have we not considered, right? What would work? What would not work? Just really open, what's stopping you, right? These more open questions for people to be able to explore versus saying, what do you think I think you should say right now? Like, that's not going to go well. That's not coaching with that. And so don't be afraid to ask some random questions occasionally, some easy ones. I mean, my go-to easiest one that sometimes I'll do, probably too much, is just the what else? What else? What else haven't you, is there? And then go silent. So back to tip 2. Okay. So throwing that in and then asking that can be really powerful in just giving that person the room to explore, to think, to take some ownership as they're going forward. The 4th one, in order for me to stay silent, and my husband's coming home right now, so the dogs might go crazy right in this moment, but in order to keep my silence, in order to ask those random questions, I have to be in a mindset of pure curiosity. Now, as a leader, that can get a little tricky because I feel the weight of the responsibility and accountability of what needs to get done. So for me, a little trick with that a little bit is to be really curious about figuring out what they know, what they don't know, what is possible, what they're capable of. And so I as I'm going silent, as I'm asking random questions or blank access questions, I'm kind of going meta in my head a little bit as a leader. I was like, ooh, how are they doing with their own confidence? How are they doing with their creativity? How are they doing with pulling things out and thinking, risk management and analysis? And that helps me avoid trying to solve the problem they're solving. Like, they become my problem and curiosity and not the problem that they have. That doesn't mean that occasionally, sometimes I don't have to step in and engage. But for a lot of times, if I stay in that curiosity place of what they have in terms of potential, they get to a place that's really good, that has that dynamic of what the possible next steps are, or at least some of it. And if they don't get everything that I might have highlighted as their leader, then there's an opportunity for me to switch over to training if I absolutely have to. But the more that I practice incorporating coaching into my leadership, the less that I found I truly needed to do that as we went forward. And then the last tip kind of builds off of that is, once you do start seeing them coming to you less, it can be a little like, oh no, do they still need me? Yes, they do, but in a different way. Now, in a lot of cases, the more that you coach, the more that they build their confidence in being able to figure things out and describe things. I've mentioned this in the past, but one of my favorite texts that I ever got was thanks for a great one-on-one today. And I'm like, we didn't meet today. You don't even work for me anymore. And the response was, yeah, I know, but in my head, I went to think about what you would say, and you would just look at me like I knew what the next answer was, and I did know. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in your head even when I'm not there. That's kind of awesome. Maybe not for you, but for me. But the reality is it's that encouragement, it's that support, it's that recognition and confidence, and and celebrating that. I had somebody at a table once like get super excited about coming up with an idea of what he's going to do next. And he like jumped out of the seat and stood up. And I just laughed because it was amazing to see him so excited. And some of that is reinforcing that, like reinforcing that feeling you have when you think of what's possible, or maybe gain a new insight, or think of the next step that you want to take. And you did it not on your own, but from within, and realizing that you have those capabilities. And the more that we lift our teams up for that, the more that you can stop being the answer to every single question, which means the more that you can do these other things. So I highly encourage checking out professional coaching to incorporate into your leadership toolbox. It makes a huge difference on whether or not the team can get up into that high performance area. Those were my tips. Hopefully they're helpful. I'm sure there are a ton more out there to explore and to look at. What's coming up for me? I am speaking at Agile 2021 with Diana Larson. It doesn't show on the program that Diana and I are doing this session together because of how it was all set up for this year, but lots of grace because Agile Alliance is trying to switch everything over to virtual, and that's just craziness. Even a year into this, that was a huge program, and they just canceled last year's. So although it's virtual, I am still excited, but I'll be speaking at that with Diana Larson, I think on Tuesday. And then I'm also doing on Tuesday evening, the Scrum Dallas meetup with Reese Schmidt as well. And then I only have 2 workshops publicly, another microaggressions, another approaching conflict on the 22nd of July. And then the next upcoming public course is the advanced CSM for facilitation skills. So if you're interested, check that out. I'm going to do better this time and put into comments right now a link to where you can find the workshops and the training. Otherwise, until next month.